It's another early morning start for us. The sun is just starting to come up, and I have a tanker full of slurry. Just unload that into our storage. Hello again, I am Jim Bob, and welcome back to American Midwest. So, when we left off last time, we were just finishing putting slurry onto fields 23, 24. And we pretty much used up our entire supply of slurry to do that. And we still have fields 22, 10 and 12 that need a layer of fertilizer before we can start planting on them. So, we talked about it last time out, and it's happened. I've purchased a slurry store point that we can actually buy slurry from using the Slurry Trader mod, and I've installed it at the store on the map, at the shop. It seemed like the best place to put it. It's an actual shop, so it kind of makes sense to have it there as a purchasable commodity. It's also got a nice big open area where we can place it, and it's kind of centrally located on the map as well, so it does give us the option of, you know, not too far for us to actually shuttle back and forth wherever we need to. There's just a buy point at the moment. There's no storage there, there's no sell point there, just a buy point. I figured that's all we're going to need. We shouldn't really ever need to sell slurry. We're going to be using it on our fields, but it does help to have obviously that purchase point. It's very, very cheap. I just filled up 60,000 litres and it cost me less than $1,500, so very, very cheap, which is good because otherwise this could prove to be a very expensive thing to do. But there it is, as you can see. So we'll get that filled up with another 60,000 litres. I'm going to fill up our storage just back at the farm there, because we, as I say, we do have 3 fields that need to be done, and we are going to need the slurry again. So I'm going to keep running slurry back and forth, but once I drop this one off, what we're going to do is we're going to actually set the whole Matera variant off and running again on field 22. Which is just over there. You can see it behind the trees and behind this grain elevator. That's the next field that needs to be cultivated and slurried, and then after that will be that field just there behind the store, field 10, and then field 12 way over there. And then once that's done, we can actually start planting as well. We can actually start planting now as well on field 23, 24. We can actually put a crop down on there, and it's a really big field, so that one's going to be a soybean crop, assuming that the ground temperature is warm enough. And looking at it, it's actually not warm enough for us to plant soybean. We need 10 degrees, the ground temperature is currently 8 degrees, so we can't plant the soybean today. That's a bit of a shame, I hadn't even thought about that. It's such a big field though, I don't really want to use that for something else, so that field's probably just going to sit there, and I guess we'll put something else on in its place. So let's just unload here. So let's take a look at what we have got. So as you can see, fields 1 and 26 and 23, 24 have their layer of fertilizer. These are what we need to apply the fertilizer to. In terms of growth, you can see obviously we've planted on fields 1 and 26, and we've planted wheat on field 1 and barley on field 26. Now these were planted because we need them for the pigs, but the straw will come in handy as extra product / money as well. In terms of other crops, if we look, we have nothing in storage apart from a bit of stuff for our pigs. So we need, let's see, what exactly do we need? Probably need another field of corn, because that's 80,000 should last us a while, but it won't last the entire year, so we're going to need more corn. We're pretty much okay looking at this for canola at the moment, but we will need some canola as well, so we're going to need to plant a canola field and a corn field. We don't need to worry about wheat and barley because we've got those 2 fields already planted, so the rest of our stuff can be stuff that we can sell. So the basic plan, I think, is going to be to put soybean on this field here. Probably, let's see, let's do more soybean on this field here as well, and then let's do corn on field 12, and then we'll do canola on field 10. That should give us a nice good stock of crop for our animals, and also maybe we can actually sell some of this canola as well. Depends how much we get off the field. And then obviously we'll have 2 nice soybean fields close to the farm for us to harvest and sell later in the year. So now that we have some slurry in our storage, let's just move out of the way. Hopefully I'll actually be able to fill up our pull behind Zunhammer tank this time. I don't know why it wouldn't let me do that last time. There we go. Now I don't need the cultivator, so again we'll drop that off. Just looking for the tank itself. And once again, it's not letting me fill it. I don't understand why it won't fill up at this store here. It's very, very odd. In fact, it's not letting me fill up the other tank either. Am I just not in the right place? I got a little bit actually, because I'm at 1953 now, whereas I was at 400 and something earlier, so why can I not fill? Oh, there we go. You'll probably hear me frantically clicking. That's really, really bizarre that it's so fiddly with the fill. It's just not letting me fill up. And that's the rear tank, so I have to be in basically right off the back of the ramp. So let's try. This is weird. So this one. Why can't I now fill up this one? Or have I only filled up? Which one have I filled up? Yeah, that's the rear unit. You see, last time I couldn't fill up the rear unit, I could only fill up the front unit. Now I can't fill up the front unit. This is. Let me turn it around. Am I facing the wrong direction? Because sometimes you need to be the right way round with this thing as well. No, this is the one that's full up, look. So again, it's the rear unit that hasn't filled. This is so frustrating that it won't fill up this second tank. I don't know why it keeps doing this to me. You know, there's no reason why that it shouldn't connect, but apparently it won't. So, oops. Let's try one more time. Probably flogging a dead horse at this point, but and try it the other way around, just so I can eliminate this entirely from my sort of fault checking. I really don't know why it won't do this, but it's just, we're just sitting here wasting a lot of time at the moment. Yeah, nothing. Okay, so bizarrely, it's just not ever going to let us fill up our rear Zunhammer tank, which is strange, frustrating, annoying, and I may have to consider replacing that with something that I can actually fill up from storage without having to use a shuttle vehicle like this. Hope that's not the case. I do like the fact that we have this matching Zunhammer unit, but if it's just going to be as temperamental as this every single time, then something I think is going to need to change. So we'll definitely take a look at that in the future. See, this instantly allows us to fill up. We've got 99,000 litres in here. Why have we only got 9? Oh, I've just taken some out and put in there, haven't I? That's why. So there should have been 120,000 litres in there, but obviously I've just dumped a load into our Holmer. So will it let me overload like this, I wonder? Yes, it will. Excellent, so I don't have to get out of the vehicle. That's good. So I'll empty that back in, and we'll continue with our shuttling. But before we do that, I want to get the Terra variant up and running, so we can at least start spreading slurry on our other fields. We can get our work for the day started. As you can see, we've already lost an hour just by kind of faffing around a little bit at the start here. So need to get on. Need to get stuff done. So there is our target field there. Field 22. In fact, actually, thinking about it, let's not do field 22 first, because this is going to be a soybean field as well. So we're kind of at the mercy at the moment of not being able to plant on that, even once we've slurried it. You know, we're still 2 degrees short on our ground temperatures. We need corn, and we were going to put corn on field 12, and again I think we need a 10 degree ground temperature, so we can't do that either. But canola we can plant. Canola needs a ground temperature of 7 degrees, I believe, and we currently have 8, so we can do field 10. Let's get that one done first. That is the most obvious choice, seeing as we can actually plant on that field today. And then once that's done, then we can start to spread the slurry onto the other fields, because there's less of a rush on those. You know, we can't plant on them until tomorrow at the earliest anyway, depending on the crop windows. You can see we have a great demand flashing away here at the bakery. I think that's for those potatoes. Just there. Obviously we have no potatoes. It's a shame it's not for sugar beets. We do have quite a lot of sugar beets in storage that we are just waiting to get rid of, but alas, we haven't got a beet demand just yet. So let's get this up and running. About there looks good, I think. Oh, it's a little bit too much. Let's step out a bit more. Excellent, there we go. Right, so slurry's being spread. We have more transporting to do, so we'll get on with that. Get our storage topped up nicely. So we've got a load of slurry into storage now, and we've got less than 10,000 litres left in our Terra variant. So what I want to try and do is, when it gets back to this side, is I'm going to try and do a refill on the go and try and overload directly into the tanks as it's running on the field. It's a little unrealistic, but I just want to see if it works. You know, I like to kind of sometimes experiment a little bit and see if we can actually do something, you know, if the mechanics allow us to do it. So I am curious as to whether or not I can actually top these up while it's, you know, spreading slurry on the field. So just going to have to wait for this to get to the edge here. Actually, let's try and do it instead of just sitting here waiting. Let's see if we can do it right now. Let's pull up alongside it. Yes, I can. There we go. So, let's just move out of the way a second. How much slurry did we actually get in there? Oh, we damn near filled it up, look. Yeah, 100%. So we can top up while it's still running. That's quite helpful, actually. Help us keep it, keep moving. Interesting. Right, what else do we need to get done? Well, we need to get our planting started, don't we? So let's grab our quad track. We'll hook up to our seeder. There it is, lurking in the shed just there. Still think we're going to need another seeder at some point for when we want to do more root crops, although that's going to be a little while until we need to do more root crops. And we've probably got enough seed, but I'm going to top the tank up anyway, just to be on the safe side, so we can then hopefully just go straight into... actually, no, we're only planting one crop today, aren't we? Let's check. Yeah, we need... Oh, only 5 degrees for canola, that's fine. We need 10-degree weather for soybean, and it's outside the planting window anyway. We've got to wait till tomorrow. So hopefully the ground will be warm enough for these 2 crops tomorrow, and we can get those in the ground. But today, we're going to be doing just canola. So, crop selected. Let's make our way over to the field. Go. And then we can start our canola plant. And then after that, we need to kind of look after our cows a little bit. Obviously, we've looked after the pigs, you know, before we converted to seasons, got them fully stocked up. And now we need to kind of pay attention to our cows a little bit. They are running a little bit low. Speaking of the cows, actually, I'll show you when we get to the field. I'll show you the difference in milk production from seasons through to where we are right now. I'll pull up my finances so you'll be able to see the difference in the amount of milk that we've sold or the amount of money we've raised from selling milk. Terra variant has almost finished spreading on this field, just on that last pass there. So next up we'll be moving over to field 12 just because it's closest. We'll get that done and then we'll head back and we'll do field 22 just over there. But I did say I'd show you the milk, didn't I? So let's open up my finance page. So we're on day 2 of seasons, so you can see here this is the money that we were making. If we start with Saturday, we made 58 and then about 57, then 61, and 61. 61 was the first day of seasons, but we didn't activate seasons till around 4 in the morning, if you remember, and the milk sold 4 hours previously when it hit midnight. So $61,500 was how much we made on vanilla Farming Simulator. Now that we've activated seasons, our cows, which still were in the same kind of condition, you know, still had everything they needed, still had 100% cleanliness, 100% productivity, because they had everything they needed, so water, straw, grass, silage, hay, power food, all of those were met. We've dropped to $50,000. So, you know, we've lost, you know, we've actually lost, you know, $11,500 on our income. Now the animal health starts at 80%, and I'm hoping that as the season progresses and we move through the rest of spring, we're going to see, as long as we maintain our cleanliness and maintain our food levels and so on and so forth, I'm really hoping that we're going to start to see that level increase. But we are also going to be moving towards sort of calf season as well, when our cows will start to breed, which means we're going to get a big drop in our milk income. So 50,000 isn't too bad. It's a bit less than what we're used to. That may just simply be because, you know, our cows are 80% health and not 100% health. But, and this is the big bit, you know, this is the worrying bit. I don't know if we're actually going to get, you know, back up to 60 anytime soon. I think, you know, 50 is probably the peak of where we're going to be for quite a little while. What with our animals about to go into breeding season in, you know, in the next couple of months. So, yeah, our milk income has definitely been reduced. Obviously, we have money coming in from our orchard, which will help offset some of that loss, and we are still making a big profit a day. I mean, our daily expenses, I mean, you can see yesterday obviously we lost $572,000, but 534 of that was on new fields. So you take the new fields out of the equation, we made quite a nice little profit. And it's going to be less of a profit that we're going to be making going forward, at least for a little while. But we are going to make some decent money, I think. You know, certainly not in any real issue or any worry financially. We're looking pretty healthy loan-wise as well. Obviously, we had a little bit of leftover cash from the milk after I bought the slurry trading, so knocked that down another 25 grand, down to 245. We'll get that paid off pretty quickly, and we still have, you know, plenty of time before we need to buy the big M. So we'll get that loan debt even more reduced before we then max it out again and buy the big M for the summer. So we're up at the animal farm. We need to look after those cows. And that means we need to feed them, give them straw, and so on and so forth. Let's get the trailer underneath here. And let's take out some TMR. Let's take a look at our animals and see exactly what it is we need. Oh yeah, we're running down the food trough, aren't we? I keep forgetting we're running that down because of that offset. Or didn't we? No, we didn't. Yeah, we need to run that food trough down. So I'm not going to top up TMR. I want to see if the kind of silo fill mechanics or the food trough fill mechanics still work the same way in seasons as they do in regular gameplay. I expect they probably do, but at least we'll know for definite. So instead I'm going to dump this back. What we do need though is we do need some more grass, and we need some more water. So we'll top those two up. We'll let the other food troughs run down. Now water, I don't know if we have a water tanker up here. I think we do. I'm sure we do. I know we had a small tanker, which is over at the orchard, but I'm pretty sure we have a big tanker up here as well somewhere. Yeah, there it is, look, next to our Silo King. I can just see it there lurking. So let's get some grass. We should have loose grass in here. We do. And we could go all the way to the front to top up to the grass trough there, but I'm just going to dump it in by the food trough in front of us. How much are we likely to need? Oh, that should be more than enough. So we only have 66,000 in storage, minus obviously this 40,000 in our trailer. How much of this are they going to want? Ooh, about what, 17,000 there. That's quite a bit. But it means that we've got plenty of grass, probably to last us comfortably until the summer months are up, which is good. So now we just need to get water. There's our water trailer. Oops, actually no, I'm putting this in the wrong bay, aren't I? I want it in the next one. There we go. Hopefully we've still got some water left in the trailer. I honestly don't remember. Not much. Certainly not enough to top up our water trough. So we're going to go and need to do a refill. We're going to head back to the farm rather than messing around with a pond. You know, it is free at the farm, so we might as well get in the habit of actually using that. So I will see you back at the farm in just a second. So there we go, there's our water tower just there with our little reservoir behind it. And water is free on this map, so makes sense to actually take advantage of that. You can see we're not getting charged for filling up this tank, just getting charged for the worker that is currently planting away for us. What's our pig water level like? Yeah, we could top that up at the same time, so we're definitely down to about a day's worth. Actually, no, this is a 3-day fill level now, isn't it? So that's less than a day's worth of water, according to that. Right, there we go, that's 32,000 litres. Let's make our way back over to the animal farm. Top up our troughs, and from there we're pretty much done looking after our cows for the day. Alright, so there's our lovely grass paddock just there for our cows. Let's unload the water. And someone has stopped. Did they run out of seed? Is that my... I know that the other worker has already finished the slurry tanker because he's run out of food, but run out of slurry. I think our seed has just run out as well, and I suppose that kind of makes sense because canola does eat a huge amount of seed, so I honestly thought we'd be alright with that, but apparently not. And there we go, that's our water topped up. We're not going to need to refill the trailer for a while because we've only used half the, well, less than half the tank to fill both of those troughs. So we'll be good for a while with that. Let's get it shoved away again. Let's get our seeder and our slurry back up and running again. And then we'll assess where we are and what needs to be done for the rest of the day. I don't think we've got that much left that needs to be done today, actually. So it might just be that I close out the day. Actually, no, we could do some weeding. We've got grass paddocks that are going to need a bit of a weed. So we could probably do some of that as well. Right. Let's get parked up. Back in the shed. There we go. Right. Oh, look at that. That's where we ran out of seed. That's ridiculous. If only I'd refilled the seeder, that wouldn't have been an issue. I'm kicking myself. Never mind. Alright, we'll get the slurry done first, then we'll get the seeder redone, and and do that tiny, tiny little patch of the corner of the field that still needs to be planted. So thinking about it, rather than going all the way back to the farm, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of a shortcut. I'm actually going to stop at the store, buy a single pallet of seed for 900 bucks. Throw that into the seeder. That'll be more than enough that we need just to finish off that tiny little corner just there. And it saves us a long trip back to the farm and then a long trip back to the field again. It's just kind of a shame that I can't load it over the fence in some respects without bringing other equipment up, which is the whole thing I'm trying to avoid doing. So it'd be nice if we had a seed tender, but we don't really have the means for one of those. I had to uninstall the horse aggravation pack. Just there were only a couple of vehicles and tools in there that I really wanted to use, and it was just taking up way too much space. You know, 230 meg for, you know, a file where you're only going to use a couple of pieces of equipment is just, it's too big. When mod storage is so limited, you know, you have to be brutal, and I had to be brutal. It's a shame because I really wanted to use that seed tender that goes on the back of a truck, but I just had to get rid of it. So there we go. Let's put that seed into our seeder. Go. Make our way back onto the field, do that tiny little corner, and then our seeding is done for the day. And so then we can get on to looking at our grass fields and seeing if we can maybe get those weeded. I can't remember because it's been a while since I've done grass work on this. I think I've got this horrible feeling that the grass fields are native and they're not workable, which means we won't be able to weed the fields and boost their grass productivity. If that's the case, then I suppose we'll probably close the day out with some contract work instead, just to bring the price down of surrounding fields. We have got silage to sell at the BGA, but I don't really want to sell that just yet. Well, I suppose we could look at that. Again, it depends on what the price is like at the BGA. We can check that out in just a second. But absolutely no point hiring a worker for this little bit. We'll do this manually. Let's drop our seeder, turn it on. And look how quickly that seed level's going down. Look at that. We used 27 litres of seed just to drive forward a couple of feet. Canola is brutal with the amount of seed that it needs. So we'll get this back to the farm, we'll get it cleaned, put away, and then we'll sort of take stock of where we are. Okay, so we've just got this one last field of slurry that needs to be spread. This will be our second soybean field. Once the weather turns warm enough, once the ground temperatures turn warm enough. And speaking of temperatures, you'll notice that the wet crop symbol has now finally disappeared in the top right corner. That was with us last time I noticed it. It was about an hour ago, somewhere in the around about 11:40, 11:50, I think it was. So it stopped raining at about what, 6 o'clock, 6 in the morning, somewhere around there, 6:30 something, I think. And it took half a day for our ground to dry up. Now, it's not a major issue for us here on this geo because this is a warmer climate, so the ground will dry out very, very quickly. But with our brand new seasons playlist Gorala, where we've relocated Deutz Farm to, we're playing that with the Wales geo, so if it rains, it's not as warm, it's a cooler, more moderate temperature, and it's going to take longer for the ground to dry up. So rainfall on that lasts that long, and it took on this one with glorious sunshine. Yes, it's early spring, so it took a bit longer than it would do in the summer, but considering it took 6 hours for the ground to dry out enough for any grass to be tedded or crops to be harvested, that's kind of a slightly worrying kind of figure there. 6 hours on the Midwest geo, which is a very, very warm climate. When we move to a cooler, more temperate climate with a lot of rain, that could be a real issue for us on Gorala, on Deutz Farm. So we'll have to pay close attention to that in the future and see just how long it does take for the ground to dry up. Right, so we need to take stock of where we are. What is our current silage price? Just out of interest. Where is silage? 453 and dropping. So yeah, not a good time really to sell silage. Let's just take a look at the chart. It is slightly ahead of the prediction, but it is dropping from what it was earlier. So we won't be selling the silage today, that's for sure. Let's jump into our truck. Let's go and inspect some of those grass fields and see whether or not they are weedable. I can't access the field that way. I need to go this way, access it from the top. I always make that mistake with that grass field just to our left there. I always try and access it from the wrong side. Oops. So the access point is just over here, next to the diner. Or just past the diner. Here it is. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is, oh no, wait, little bits of dirt here. I think this is native. I don't think we'll be able to weed this. I'm not seeing any dirt texture underneath. This looks to be just a standard grass field, which means we won't be able to boost it with fertilizer. I mean, I suppose we could plant grass in place of that, but I don't know if that's... It's certainly not something we can do right now, and I don't know, because that would completely screw up our chance of actually getting grass at the beginning of summer. So I think that's something we'll have to look at, maybe autumn, maybe reworking those grass fields, ploughing them up and planting them that way. Let's check the next one. The access point for this one is behind these houses. But I'm pretty sure we aren't going to be able to weed our grass fields as they currently are. Again, yeah, that's native grass. That's not a workable field. So that's a shame. That kind of puts a kibosh on that idea. So with that in mind, the fact that we can't really do anything on these grass fields here. Obviously we've got our crop planted there, but we need these 3 fields still to be planted here. We need the ground to warm up, so we can't do any more planting today. It's not the right time to sell our silage because the price is dropping. So that leaves us with contract work. So let's make our way over to field 25 and let's see if we can actually pick up a job or two to help bring the cost of that field down and maybe put ourselves in a position to buy that at the end of the year. Add it to our field repertoire. Alright, so field 25. Let's move this out of the way so that any equipment that needs to be spawned in can be. Park just there. And let's see, can we get some work on this field? Well, we've got equipment in the way, so we need to move this truck somewhere else. Right, let's park just here. That should be far enough clear. Okay, so we've got a planting job here. They want potatoes on this field. I'm not going to be looking to do a potato harvest anytime soon, and if I buy this field, obviously that's a factor. So let's see what else we can get instead of potatoes. A standard crop. Ooh, we'll get to use the Terminator. And now we seem to have lost the ability to actually pick up a job. Again, oh, potatoes again, no. And again, really wants potatoes, doesn't he? He really wants potatoes. I don't. Alright, let's take this one with the T9. So we'll take this job on. Let's see what he wants us to actually plant. Zoom out to give myself a little bit of working room. And it's going to be wheat. Okay, yep, wheat we can do. This is a good size field, but it's a good size seeder as well, so it shouldn't take too long to get this job. Probably about 15-20 minutes, maybe. Actually, no, looking at it. 47, so we're looking at about 25 minutes or so to get this job done, I think. So, and of course it does help if you lower the seeder once you've turned it on. There we go, and I'm going to use the ridge markers as well to give me a hand on this. So let's do some contract work. Getting bounced around something wicked inside this cab here. See just how much I'm bumping up and down. I hope none of you get seasick watching this. But you can see we are seeding away, ridge marker active. Not going to make a huge amount of cash on this. It's not about making money, it's about saving money when it comes to buying the field, and maybe, just maybe, getting a nice little crop out of it at the same time. We are so very, very nearly done with this field now. Just got tiniest little sliver left on our contract wheel in the top right corner there. So we just need to run down here just a little bit. That'll fill up. In fact, it's going to ping any moment now. And this will give us a few thousand and hopefully a nice tasty little discount on this field. There we go. So 6.5 grand, always helpful. And the field's down to 514, so it's time for a fertilizer run. Let's see what we can get. I like the Series 9. I don't get to use this very often, so I'll do a quick slurry run with the Series 9 as well. I'm not going to bother with the front weight. I'm just going to get straight onto the field with this. There we go. And this will only take us, a few minutes at all. Talking about 7 or 8 minutes or so, I would imagine, to do this field. Very, very quick and easy job. And an extra little bit of cash and another nice little discount on the cost of the field going forward. There we go, another 2 grand and another 12 taken off the asking price of the field. That's very, very nice indeed. Have we finished spreading slurry, or did we run out? Let's take a look. We ran out. Okay, so back to our truck here. We can at least kick-start while we go and get some more slurry. Go. So we'll take this back, get it topped up, and while that's doing that, we'll get the Holmer restarted, and then we can come back and top him up properly, get that field finished. There we go. So, back to the Holmer. There we go. He's restarting. Do like how you can hear the whirring of the pump in the background there. Alright, so full trailer. Time to make our way back to the field, and then we can get our Terra variant topped up properly. Where is it? Has it made the end of the field yet? Yes, just making it now, so if we're quick, we can get into position. Kind of hard to accelerate when you're pulling a heavy load like this, even if you have got 700 horsepower. When you're doing it up a hill, you notice. we go. I'll park just here. Hopefully we've got enough in the tank now to get this field finished. And then that's pretty much it in terms of jobs for today. We've got nothing else that we need to get done. You know, we needed to get our fields spread with slurry, and you know, we're on the last of that now, as you can see. We needed to get our canola planted, and you can see we have our canola planted there. We need to plant corn, and we need to plant soybean, and we can't do either of those until the ground warms up. So that's probably going to be tomorrow, at the earliest, before we can do that. We topped up our animals, so our cows are now looking a lot healthier. We're deliberately running the food trough down, and you can see the health has gone up. Look, 81%. So they are starting to improve their health. That's great to see. It means hopefully we'll start to get a little bit extra, productivity out of them. And then obviously we topped up the water levels as well, and we've done some contract work, and it's not the right time for us to sell our silage. You can see the price has now fallen to 4.48. It's still going down, and it's going to continue to go down and kind of plateau for a little while, I think, before it kind of bounces back up again. So we're going to need to wait for that to happen. It's a shame we don't have sheep for wool, because we've got a good price that's going up and up and up. Again, we don't have potatoes, so we can't take advantage of that great demand. And we can't sell any of the crops, apart from beets, that we have in storage, because we kind of need them for our animals. So we're kind of left with very little to do for the rest of this day, which is kind of fair. I mean, we spent a long time working on the fields yesterday. Our farmer was up till nearly midnight, getting everything done. So I suppose it's only fair that he gets an afternoon off. So we'll call it a day here, I think. We'll get this kind of field slurried and finished, and then once that's done, we'll take the rest of the afternoon off. We've done a couple of contract jobs. There's not much else we can do on that field to improve it until it starts to grow. So yeah, we're going to take the afternoon off, and then we'll come back tomorrow and we'll get the rest of our crops planted, assuming that the weather is warm enough. Thanks for watching. I'm Jim Bob, and we'll be back with some more American Midwest very soon.